Chewy, are we on?
Yeah.
Is this thing on?
Thanks.
Is this thing on? Hey, episode 4 of the Jiu-Jitsu podcast.
This is episode 4.
It's episode 4. We are now on iTunes.
Spotify.
If there's any issues with the volume or sound, please let us know. We will try to correct it immediately if we can.
1 second here. Double check and make sure live feed. And this is fun. Like whenever we start something new, you're always going to run into those obstacles. It's just like jiu-jitsu, right? You're going to run into problems. And we started last week with a really sketch internet connection. We were hooked up to the Wi-Fi, and you guys just roasted us. Like they said, you were broadcasting to us live from a Commodore 64, from a what was it? Potato Vision was another one.
Yeah.
So those are awesome.
So Commodore 64 video game system?
That was the old one back in the 80s, like where you could it was kind of a computer, but it was like a little gaming system. Yeah.
Was it before Atari or after?
I think it was after Atari.
After Atari.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. That was actually before my time. Yeah.
Awesome.
So let's dive into it, man. Now that we're here.
Chewy, big weekend.
Yeah,
for you.
God, this weekend, dude, I was so busy. I actually just got back last night at 12, and for you guys that maybe don't know me, like I guard my sleep with my life. I don't go to sleep like this. I don't really watch MMA fights anymore because I can't stay up that late. Like I go to sleep before typically no later than 11.
Yeah.
360 days out of the year, maybe 5 days out of those bunch, you'll get me to stay up later than that. Because I found that when I changed my sleep patterns, this was about maybe 2016, I found that I started getting up earlier. I started feeling more energetic. I felt great, and I was like, man, this is awesome. So I started to really guard my sleep patterns, and because I used to during the week I would keep my sleep regimented, and on the weekends I would just let it slide. And then I noticed that it would take me 2 or 3 days in the week to catch back up. Now I just keep my early mornings and my early evenings together, and man, my sleep stays so much more regimented. My body enjoys it, and I wake up in the morning some people talk about they wake up groggy. I wake up in the morning and it's as soon as I open my eyes, boom, I'm ready to go, man.
Would you say you're a morning person?
I'm a morning person. Yeah, I get up typically no later. Like today, I slept until about 7, but typically no later than 6. I like to get up right around 6, and I get up, man. I get my lift in usually early in the morning, get done, and I get all my creative work done then.
I'm kind of a morning person too, and I'll talk to my wife, and I'll start asking her stuff and talking. She's like, "Leave the hell alone. I'm not even awake."
She's not a morning person.
She's like, "Stop asking me questions. You're stressing me out." So,
man, she did a good job the other day. So, his wife's a massage therapist, and man, for you guys, if you've never taken part in a massage, it's one of the things that I think it's been really beneficial. She dug into my my upper chest, and she noticed something. I thought this was neat. After we were done, she's like, "I felt like it was a good session," and I was like, "It was a really good session." And on my left side, there's a rib that's been separated a little bit, and what happened was I took the guy down. This was at a tournament in Ohio in 2012. Me and the guy, I want to say it was Dan Hornbuckle, man, and he's a really tough guy for me to take down. He's got good wrestling, so we're grappling with each other, and I got a blast double leg, and as I took him down, we went out of bounds, and his knee was up, and it boom, it hit my pec. There's a slight dent there where it hit, man, and I think it slightly tore the pec a little bit, but there's a dent in the rib. And so she was digging in there, and she's like, "I felt something on your left side." I was like, "Yeah, it's where I took a knee to the chest when I took someone down." So, competition sometimes, man, because you're going so intense, you leave a little bit of yourself out there, depending on how hard the match was. And that particular match, that was a tough one with him.
So it took a little bit out of you?
Absolutely, man. Because I remember after that match, I had a dent in my chest, right? Yeah. My rib was a little separated, and I slightly pulled my. There was my bicep was swollen, right? Maybe a slight tear.
Yeah.
Because when I was done, I was my whole left side was swollen from it. But I mean that's just what it is. It's just I think that's kind of the cool part about it, because you are out there exerting yourself to your max capacity. It's something that I can't physically go full speed in the gym, because I have to have no regard for the other person, and I have to lose that regard for myself, because as you get better and better and better, and this as a physical therapist, you understand the muscular system, your body kind of has a governor, right? It says, no, we're not going to go to this limit, right? Because if we go to this limit, we might possibly tear the muscle off the bone. But when you're in those situations where you can't physically think like that, right, where you're all in, your body doesn't have those same limitations, and you hit a new level if you can channel that. And so when I go into competitions, man, like, I mean, I'll, something's unlocked, and I have to be careful because sometimes I'll come out, I'll be all beat up and have sore muscles and weird stuff hurts, and like it was a quick match, but because I executed so intense in such an intense manner, like I had pulled muscles and stuff because the capacity of my body's like gotten so high over the years.
But yeah, like I tore ligament in my finger, and it was during a choke.
Yeah,
during a loop choke, and like I felt it pop, and I just re-gripped, and I finished the choke, and it was just, I don't know, it was just what I did. I didn't even think about it, and then I taped it up and had another match. I don't even think the knuckle was really hurting. It's just, I mean, it was just general soreness, but I was like, my knuckle was kind of like flopping around, my fingers flopping around. But what would you say that rib injury? How long did it take you to kind of work through that? Did you have a lot of pain with it?
It was an upper rib, so it wasn't bad. I would just get like some popping and stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, it took like 4 or 6 weeks. I had to be mindful of it.
I'm in the midst of that shit right now.
Rib injuries suck, man.
And so it's been like 4 weeks, I think, and I'm like, oh, I feel good, and then I'll sleep on my left side, or I'll like try to sit up out of the bed, and I'll feel it like click or pop, and it's just like a mental. You're like playing with this mental game, like constantly. You're like, oh my god. Yeah, I want to train, but I can't, and things like that. So.
Now, let me ask you a question, because this is one I actually get, and then we'll go back to the weekend, because you and I both, we're like all over the place. It's awesome.
There's a lot of shit.
But it's the best part about talking to you. But for you as a physical therapist who is hard pressed to take his own advice, we have people that message in because rib injuries happen because of just the movement of jiu-jitsu. What is something that someone, if they have like a minor rib injury, maybe like a pulled cartilage or maybe a pulled rib or whatever it might be, right? Like, what is something either for recovery, or what is something that they should be mindful of to get themselves back on track?
What I've been doing is I'm doing like thoracic spine, so my mid back, kind of between your neck and your shoulder blade, kind of take your fingers.
That's a big problem area for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, so you're around it. So we're getting that movement because a lot of those ribs attach to that thoracic spine. So making sure good movement there. Just maybe foam rolling, and then doing like some gentle rotational controlled things. Then start to incorporate like strengthening, like banded strengthening, things like that.
Yeah. So when you're saying gentle like rotation, you're saying like maybe lay on the foam roller and then move around side to side kind of thing. Or?
You can do like quadruped on hands and knees, and like kind of the reach through ones.
Okay.
Those are great. Holding the elbow. I have a video on some thoracic spine movement. Those are great to do. As far as jiu-jitsu, because I tried to come back a couple weeks ago, and I kind of tweaked it. Anything, when you're looking at the ribs, any kind of torsion or rotational movements are kind of tough. I actually felt like I had an easier time being on top, where I didn't have to engage my abs as much to kind of pull up or pull the person in. So when I was on top, like trying to pass guard, that's where I felt more comfortable. That's where I had less symptoms. But it just depends on the person. Mine's kind of like the floating rib, kind of down.
Yeah, that one's such a problem, because I feel like the one that I pulled was up in my upper chest.
Secure, kind
of it's right there. That floating rib's way down there. Yeah,
and it just kind of moves anytime you breathe. So like I would rotate a certain way, I would feel it. It was just, so yeah, I mean, just go based on feel, and it's not one of those things. Like, it's probably an area, and I've through trial and error, and also talking to people that have dealt with rib injuries, it's something that you think you're over, and then it like flares right back up. So
and that floating ribs is pretty notorious for like sort of peeking its head back out.
Yeah.
Because I've known guys that have like a floating rib where it's fine, and then one day they'll move a certain way, and then I remember seeing Hanato, both of his ribs kind of stick out on both sides, and it's from the floating rib.
I've tried, one thing that I've done is some like Kinesio Taping. There's a way to tape it, kind of super easy taping technique. I've tried it. It's hit and miss. Some people might help, but I can definitely, I may tape it up and see how it does when I come back.
Okay.
It's something that kind of stabilizes the joint a little bit. But
cool.
So back to the weekend.
This weekend. So we got off on our tangent.
We had guys fight. There was a big event in Louisville. It was the 100 Hard Rock 100.
Yeah. So here's what we had. We had Friday. We launched the black and white gis.
Yes.
So Friday night we had the black and white gis launched. So if you guys are interested in that, I put up a video on it. Saturday we. And Friday we clipped 100,000.
Yeah.
So my girlfriend and I were having Cuban food, and boom, it hit it. I was like, oh, cool, And so we have to do something for that.
Yeah.
Some of the guys left some suggestions. Saturday we had MMA fights. I had two of our fighters fight, and then those are always going to stay late to be up late for those. But and then Sunday I went down to Paducah. And I had set up a training session and a video session with a now friend of mine, Eli Knight, who guys, he's in Paducah. He was one of the OGs down there as far as jiu-jitsu goes, blazing the trail. And I'd never met the guy, never talked to him or anything. And I was online, I saw this guy. I was like, oh, dude, I got it's another jiu-jitsu YouTuber. And he puts out some really good stuff. He does a lot of self-defense related stuff as well. Sure. But he definitely is able to do the sports stuff as well, right? Both. And I was like, I got to meet this guy. And so we set it up and went down and trained yesterday and had a good time.
All right, so let's start with it. The gis. What can you tell us? What's different about the gis? And also, I got a question for you because from that video I watched. How do you feel about these little strict uniform policies, gi policies at different gyms? Okay, so here's my thing about jiu-jitsu. I personally don't like being too strict, right? Because for me, jiu-jitsu is a martial art, right? And I think there's that art side to it, right? Sure. So the art side is kind of important because I want people to be... I like being able to stretch and myself, right? I don't like being put into a box. I like being able to move around and sort of find my own space. And I like that it comes down to the things we wear, right? Like what you wear says something about you. And so some guys like to be unique. I know that for me, when I was younger, for you guys watching the feed, you'll see actually one of my old gis here. That was my second gi I ever had. My first one's framed, but everybody was wearing atomic gis. I didn't want to wear atomic gis. I still got a vitamins and minerals gi. Everybody else had white, so I got blue, right? I wanted to stand out a little bit. I wanted to have something unique to me. When I used to fight MMA, the guys would get the shorts. Everybody wore like the same shorts, right? So I would go online and find some obscure company, like overseas, and boom, I bought their shorts. And everybody like, where'd you get those shorts? Because I just wanted to stand out. I wanted something that was unique to me. And so for guys, when they do gis in their gym, I like to let it open so that this way, man, if you want to wear that gray gi, if you want to wear that, like I've got a denim blue gi from '93 that's sick, I love it. If you want to wear the black, where would you want to wear whatever makes you feel like a badass and makes you want to come into the gym. Because I think we've all been there before. You get that like slick looking gi and you're like, you put it on at your house and you're like special powers.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're like, you instantly want to go in the gym and train, because you get this gi, you're wearing around like a bathrobe in the house. So I don't like restrictions on gis. I think that I understand there's a uniformity thing, and sometimes I think it's more of a form of like just control over students. It's a form of like if I can get you to do the little things, like a lot of times they talk about this in like situations where you're controlling people, right? If I can get you to do the little things, I can get you to do the big things. And so I think it's just like one way to do that. But I don't personally care. It's like, that's not the way I do things. And I like that jiu-jitsu is not regulated like the IJF, like the Judo Federation, where we can kind of do our own thing, right? Every school's a little bit different. Everybody's got their own spin to it. And I like that because there's more room for creativity based upon how you want to go about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, jiu-jitsu is all about being creative. I mean, that's why we have all these guard players, wrestling type, I mean, the takedowns, guard pulling, leg lockers, anything that,
Exactly. The fundamentals, the core is the same, but the creativity, the way that you plan to go about it might change, and I like that. The gis that we have now, they're white and black, and again, the gray gis that we did last year were super cool. Like, we did 100 of them, and we actually had to cut the page. We had to turn the page off early because we were sold out, which was awesome. Everybody was like getting them, and but the only problem is that some people can't wear gray, right? They can only wear white, black, or blue, or whatever it might be. And so I wanted to make sure I took care of those guys. And for competition purposes, too, if you'd like to wear one for that, it's a good gi. And so we have those up for pre-order. So we're doing 100 of the black, 100 of the white. I want to say that the black's running out. We're almost out of the black, and we still have, I think we've got about like 35, 40 whites left. Yeah. So as far as pre-orders go, so if anybody wants to get one, definitely.
My favorite part of the gis, and we've talked about this before, is the Enzo symbol. It's my favorite. I just love it. There's something like so unique. So, like you said, it's unfinished. Yeah. It's just a good reminder. Every time you look at that gi and get ready to put it on, know that your journey's not done. Yeah, You're just consistently working towards something.
I'm a sucker for symbolism. I actually, when I went down last week, I took almost off the whole weekend. I wrote down like our patches. I've never actually talked about all the symbolism in our patches, right? Like, for instance, our horse head, our team patch with all the colors in it. Yeah. Every color is included, and that was done specifically because it's supposed to represent. It's a big circle, and every color is a part of that circle, and that's because we're all a part of the unity. Like, like we're all a part of that from white to black. Everybody has to be a part of it. The gym doesn't work without every part of that, right? the instructor patch that we have was a mixture of our horse head with a torch.
Yeah.
Because the torch is generally in academic circles is considered enlightenment, right? So if I shine the torch, I lead the way and I make it clear. Like I lead the way, I can show you the way. And as coaches, when they come in, people are basically in utter darkness. So as far as jiu-jitsu goes, they don't know what it is. They're ignorant towards it. And it's like as a coach, you're shining the light up. So it was mixed between a torch and a horse head because that's what a horse head's what we do, and a torch is that. So there's all kinds of weird stuff in our patches that I talked about. But the Enzo symbol is super important because it's a sign of being unfinished. You're never finished. I mean, people... you're never done. I mean, I've been grappling for the greater half of my life now, right? At this point, and I'm still learning. I'm still tweaking new things. I'm still digging into my own game, and my ability to teach, my ability to compete out everything.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's something cool. It's something different, something unique. And when you wear those patches too, it's kind of that's a whole other unique aspect of your gi. Some people have really heavily patched gi. Some people have like very few little patches that kind of makes things stand out. It's just your style.
Yeah, I just wanted to be minimalist, and then if people wanted to patch it up, they can patch it up.
So I want to know.
Fights?
No. We're talking about YouTube.
Okay. 100K. Yeah.
So tell me this. When I saw that and I saw that video, I was just thinking to myself, like, what does that mean to you? Like, do you feel, was that a goal that you had, or what was your goal, and then maybe what's your goal moving forward? And then kind of what does it mean to have 100,000 followers?
I don't know.
Subscribers.
I don't know. I mean, so here's my thing. I never set out like when I started doing the YouTube channel. I started doing it because I enjoy YouTube. I used to watch YouTube videos all the time, and I started doing it just because, like, I started sharing techniques and I started sharing drills because the students, right? Like, I have guys that come in now sometimes for drilling sessions, and they review those videos that I put up, right? So it's like it was helpful for them. Back in the day, like guys like Rich and Ryan and a few other guys were coming in for drilling sessions because they worked so much and they couldn't always get in at the nighttime classes. So I was like, hey, let me put these drill videos together, follow these, and these will give you some stuff to work on. And now you can do your own thing, but these can give you a basis. And it was at that point that people started to follow. And then at some point, people started asking lots of questions, because I just started sharing information because, people were like, how did you deal with like changing gyms and all this other stuff? And so I started sharing questions or answers to questions. And then it started just to become its own thing. I never really set out with the intention of doing 100K subscribers or whatever. I'm just having fun. Yeah. I really enjoy I enjoy communicating with people. I enjoy like talking with people. Me, I'm a chatterbox on the mats, right? I mean, after class, it's very common to see Chewy going on some rant about something or some ramble about something. So it was basically just doing that stuff that I do inside the gym and just throwing it out there, for people out in the community, and it's been a lot of fun. As far as what it means to me, I don't really care so much about a number, right? Like, people get off on, I got this many subscribers. Like I remember there was a guy that approached me that was like, and for anybody watching this is something, I know that there are people out there that are growing their own stuff, right? Don't worry about the number. Worry about the quality and worry about what you're doing, because for me, like, there were guys that were doing these things where they'd have like, 60,000, 70,000 Instagram followers, right? And they were doing these weird like hacks and stuff where people were following each other, but they're not actually engaged, right? Like I remember like talking to this guy, like, I don't want to do this. If someone's gonna follow me, I want them to follow me because I want them to be a part of this thing, right? I want to help them. I want to like work with them. I want to like entertain them. I want to give them something useful to them, right? It's like I want to do that. So I don't really care how many followers I have. I worry about like I'm more concerned with like impact. Right, like when I go to a tournament, someone comes up and they don't shake my hand, they hug me, like they come up and grab me, like, dude, that was so awesome. I've never met this person, but they want to give me a hug. That's cool. So if I got that with 20,000 subscribers, 30, I don't care. It's like, so the number is cool. It's like a cool whatever, but that was at this point, it's not the intention. The intention is like, can I help people out just like people help me out? Right. If I can do that, then the subscriber number is irrelevant.
I know exactly what you're saying because I got a text message from a guy that I had never met. I kind of talked to him on the phone. He had a knee injury he was dealing with, and he's like, hey, man, I just want to tell you, you may not remember me. I want to tell you thank you for, just like giving me some advice and some information. He's like, my knee is way better, and I'm training for my first tournament. And I was like, man,
that's awesome.
That means so much to me. Yeah. Like, I don't have a big channel or anything like that, but like the impact, like I think a lot of, what we do, it's what we get back, like what we give, but also like getting back keeps that fire going, and just makes it feel like your impact is adequate, or you're doing something that makes a difference.
Right,
and because you're doing a difference, making a difference in jiu-jitsu. Just like for me, like I'm dealing with an injury, and the mental, like it's more mentally tough than it's physically tough. And so having somebody that's been through that and can kind of help you, guide you through that, maybe make it a little smoother, make that journey just a little bit easier. It's so huge, because when you look at where you are and kind of you're finally going for your goal or competing, whatever it is, it's the impact you make is huge.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is just for anybody, you can do this on a very personal level. You don't have to have 100,000 subscribers on something. You don't even have to have an Instagram to like make an impact on someone, because the chance is always there. You know what I mean? And for me, that was always just something I enjoyed doing, because I just know that for me, like I never really had the easy road with anything, and ultimately we all have to make our own mistakes. Even if like you could tell me exactly how not to make the mistake, but I have to make it. You can play damage control by giving me more information so that when the mistake happens, I can cope with it a little bit better. But ultimately, I have to go through my own experience in life, right? That's part of the beauty of it. It's mystery. You don't know what's going to happen. But at the same time, like it is nice to have someone that's been through that stuff that can maybe just kind of like give you a little bit of assistance along the way. But you don't have to have a big fan base. You could like have someone just right in front of you every day, man, and just make a difference. And so I've always been into that back when I was a purple belt. I remember I loved helping the guys, and if like I showed them a technique and they got it, I was like, yes. Yeah. They didn't have to come up to me afterwards and tell me they got it. I could see that I did it. I was like, that's good enough for me. You know what I mean? And so, when people send messages and stuff, that they'll send me videos or something like that, to see them do it, to see them have success with it, or even if it just gave them perspective that they hadn't seen before, then that's what it's about. And whether I have 10 subscribers or 1 million subscribers or 100,000 subscribers, it doesn't matter. I'm doing what I'm doing because I want to do it, not because I'm trying to chase a number. So
yeah, it makes sense. It was fun though when
the number's a validation though. I mean, we can say it's like basically like it's cool. It's validating that I'm helping
people are paying attention. People are giving a shit. Well, that's important. Right. Like that, you gotta have that. If you're talking and nobody's watching your videos, the shit's annoying.
But I think that the thing is that most people fixate on those numbers too much. They fixate. Oh, I only got this many. Don't worry about it. Do you. Be you, be uniquely whoever you are, and find what that is. And then if people come along, great, but don't feel like you have to cater to something that isn't you just because you're chasing a number. You know what I mean? Because to me, that's silly. It's like, because then you're like selling yourself for like some number. Like, be you. I mean, I'm sure if like, guys like John Danaher or something like did that years ago. Like, I'm going to try to like get a big space. Now the guy's doing great, and he writes these long posts. He does things that are absolutely uniquely him, and they break all the rules as far as social media. You're not supposed to make these long posts, you're not supposed to do this, but he does it all like that, right? And because that's him, and so you got to do you, be you. That's what it's really about.
Yeah, no, it's fun. What do you want to accomplish? Like, what moving forward, what's your goal? Is there something, so you've accomplished getting information out to people, helping people. What else do you want to do with the channel?
Well, I'm starting to increase the output. So try to do more videos, because I get asked so many questions and I really want to dig into them. Because I really enjoy, like, again, it's just like talking to someone. So I really want to answer more questions and do those kinds of videos. But we're also going to be doing some more stuff where I want to go around to gyms that I know, friends that I know, train with more jiu-jitsu practitioners, and showcase these people a little bit. Like yesterday we went down to Paducah and got to train with Eli, and I'd never trained with him before. Never even met the guy somehow. But it was a great chance to go down there and meet another jiu-jitsu guy that's in the space that I'm in, and kind of like talk shop and share some techniques and just have a great time. It was a great time, and do things like that to share with other people, like, from different aspects and stuff like that.
What did you learn from anything particular, anything new that maybe kind of you're going to integrate in?
Not necessarily anything like too new. It was cool because, a lot of times what I found is that jiu-jitsu practitioners, if you've been in it for long enough, there are these core fundamental principles to jiu-jitsu that they're there. You can't change them. They're there, and they rub off on you, right? Like whether you know them by name or not, right? They become intuitive to you. And then as you become like a high-level black belt, or like you've been in it for a long time, you learn how to explain them in your own language. And so when him and I were talking, we were saying a lot of the same things, and then he would say it in a different way. I'm like, oh yeah. Well, I say it like this. Oh, okay. Like we were going back and forth. Being separated from one another, never trained with each other, different even methods and styles of jiu-jitsu, right? We still came to the basic same fundamental core principles and things like that. So it's kind of interesting to see that. And again, it was a fun time. I can't say that I gained anything wildly new, but it was fun to hear some of his experiences and him sharing that, and also see the way that he rolls and everything else. So it was cool.
Perspective, man. Gives perspective. Well, it's like, you know, we're all people. We all do jiu-jitsu. It's just how it's evolved and how it, you know, how people make it their style.
Yeah.
You know, make it their own, you know, like you said, some gyms are a lot more self-defense oriented. Some gyms are more sport jiu-jitsu, gi, no gi, you know. So yeah, it's different. It's really cool to see, you know, how jiu-jitsu is, you know, evolved in the past 10 years. Like, it's exponentially evolved.
It has.
For me personally, because that's when I got in. It's been about, you know, 8-9 years I've been in jiu-jitsu. So just watching that growth and just the change.
I think it's the way that information can be shared so rapidly. Because now, like, you know, back in the day, you know, I remember when I first started, you would be watching like these grainy VHS tapes, you know, of like matches from somewhere. Now, like, dude, you can watch matches like just you couldn't go through all the YouTube information or all the streaming information, or if you buy all the products and stuff like that that people offer. I mean, you couldn't go through all that stuff in a lifetime. There's just too much. You know, just so much information.
It's a different problem to have now.
It is a different problem.
Because you want to learn everything, but you're not going to learn everything.
Yeah,
you have to try to
I like that. But see, that problem to me is having more than you need, to me, is a better problem than not having enough.
Right.
Because now, like, you just have to, like, be purposeful with what you're with what you're looking at, right? So if you're trying, like, you know, I actually did a video on this the other day. I don't know if it's posted or not yet. But, you know, the information overload thing, it's always been around. I know that when I first started jiu-jitsu, I bought mats and put them down in my basement. And I lived with my buddy at the time. He lived with me. And I bought a bunch of DVDs, right? I mean, I had like 4 or 5 sets of DVDs, and they were like, one of them had like 14 different CDs. And it was very simple to narrow down what I wanted to do. I thought, like, okay, where do I want to get better? What do I want to work on? Okay, well, then let's focus on that stuff only, and let's start there. And I mean, for people watching this, I mean, if you feel like you're like, just, I can't remember anything, well, then make your menu smaller. You know, it's like when you go to, or if you're really hungry, you know, and you go to a restaurant with a giant menu, it can be hard to pin down because like everything sounds good.
Right.
But if it's like, okay, you go to a place and it's like all they offer is this one thing, okay, well, then that's what you're getting. So make your menu smaller and focus on that one thing, and just focus on it for a while. You know what I mean? It makes things a lot simpler. Maybe focus on one position and just like dive into that position, or maybe focus on one type of move and focus on just that. It makes it so much more simple. And it helps out a lot. Like a lot of times in our classes, I'll limit the guys. I'll say, okay, the only move you guys can do is this today. For some people, it makes it harder because they can't use their best stuff. But for some people, like for me, when I limit my submissions, it makes it so much easier because then I'm like, I know what I'm chasing. And so I'll find a way to make that happen.
How long do you like to spend on, like, if you're trying to develop a technique? How much time? Is there a number of reps? It depends on the technique.
Depends on the technique, because if you're really good from a position, and then let's say like I have a pretty good back mount. So for me to add in back mount techniques, there's a curve.
Right.
Because it's
seamless.
Yeah, because the position's already there, right? I might mess up a little bit, but it's a little bit easier. Rep-wise, it depends on the type of movement, because some movements are a little bit slower, some are a little bit more timing-based. If it's like a move that really requires quick timing, you know, I know this is kind of a weird thing, but I used to do a lot of private lessons, and I would record the number of reps that we did, and then I would tell them to go into class and say, let me know when it starts to work efficiently and pretty quickly. And we found that there's some magic around the 750 to 1000 range.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it just like, I did this in my own experiment. I was like, basically 750 was like consistently amongst multiple people. When we would do 700 plus reps, that was when boom and boom, boom, it started to like really fire off for them. You know, I mean, obviously there was success before then, but like that 750 1000 range, it was when like they're like, you know, going to sleep and they're like X-passing, like,
right,
you know, going to sleep, their hands are moving. You know, and then as far as like the so reps, and then as far as like what was the other thing,
like how much time you want to spend.
Time, yeah.
So it depends on, I mean, really, if you get more reps in or more consistent, less time.
I personally like a month. Like, you know, for me, it helps make it easy. I like, okay, this month is this for me, right? It's like, it's my wrist lock month. You know, and then I do that because I find that when you give yourself more and more time with a position, the subconscious has an interesting way of like making things happen, right? Because you find new ways. It's like basically you know what your destination is, right? Okay, you find your destination and you got like maybe one road to get there. Well, then there's a roadblock, right? And then you can think of that as your partner is, you know, defending that now. They learned you were doing that, so they block that setup. but you still want to get to the same destination. So you start to look for other paths and other roads to get there, and you find all these different ways to get there over the course of time.
Sure.
And a lot of times I find that, if you give yourself some definite time, in there, maybe 4 weeks or so, you start to draw new paths and make new roads to the same destination that you're trying to get to, and you'll find how to get there. I've got all kind of weird guillotine chokes that came about because I was going to do guillotine chokes. I had one at the time. I had one set up for the guillotine choke, and it got blocked. And so then I had to find all these different ones, and some of them are weird, where I let the person come up into me, where I basically let them kind of they're escaping or they're sweeping me, but really in reality what I'm doing is I'm setting them up for a choke because they wouldn't give me their neck. So if I let them come up on top of me, it's they feel like they're confident, they're coming in, boom, there's my guillotine choke. So you have to be more creative in that sense because you're still chasing out that one destination. It can be frustrating because you don't get the submissions that you want to, but in the long term, it's really cool when you start to make stuff up just to make it happen because you know where you're going.
Yeah, no, it's great. You put yourself in positions that you might not be in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're okay, I don't usually in this position, but I'm gonna get there and see what happens. So, yeah, it's a really great point. Yeah, 750 to 1,000, huh?
It was just kind of what we did.
I'm just interested. I'm gonna see. I've never really kept track of doing a technique or learning a technique. A lot of times, I'll if it's something that kind of integrates in my game, or like a little choke or something, I'll watch it, and then if I hit it, I get kind of But that doesn't mean. Just because I hit it doesn't mean I'm good at it or it's something I'm going to implement. I think a way to implement in your game is you do it repetitively. You build that muscle memory, and then you're going on instinct almost, and you're going on kind of reaction and promoting kind of a certain movement.
It has to be embodied, right? To me, jiu-jitsu is an interesting thing, right? Where you could have all the information. And it's there, right in front of you. You have all the information in front of you. It's right there, ready for the taking. The problem with jiu-jitsu is it's not just information, right? It's you have to take this information, and then you have to program it into this vehicle, right? Your body. And so that has to be done with time, multiple repetitions or time and rolling or whatever it is, however you want to go about it, because some people don't like to drill. Okay, well then good. Well then you got to really hammer this technique down when you're trying to roll with it, right? Because then it eventually becomes embodied. It's part of you. It literally is a part of you inside your central nervous system, right? And then that move it's intuitive. It doesn't require the intellect. You don't have to have thinking power to it. It becomes just boom, you're just doing it. You feel something and then you're reacting, right? And a lot of times when I think about my movements and stuff, a lot of it goes off of feel. It doesn't go off of an actual thinking process. A lot of times in jiu-jitsu, this analogy of chess gets used, and people will say, oh, the black belt's 6 moves ahead of you. I don't think that, when I'm rolling with someone, there are times where I'm setting them up for something, but in most cases, it's not like I'm thinking, well, Eugene's going to move forward 1 step, and then I'm going to do this move, and then he's going to do this. I'm not thinking like that. There's not enough time. To me, what I think about it is if you got your chessboard, if I'm very far ahead of someone as far as skill-wise in my ability to move, it's you move 1 piece, I move 5. So basically, just I can move more chains of movements more effectively because it's more efficient, right? Because my body's basically gone through the steps so many times that it doesn't require much energy. It's already chained everything together because it's been there, done that. And so for every step you move, I move 5. Or every step you move, I move 2, whatever it might be, whatever the skill difference is. And so a lot of times it's not that I'm ahead of you so much in that sense, it's just that I will become ahead of you because I'm moving more pieces per, your move, right? So every time you move a little bit, I'm already adjusting to your movements and then, making more movements and preemptively attacking. So... Yeah.
No, I get it. But, like I said before, and we mentioned this on our podcast, the thing with you is your grips. That's where you're set up. You start with your grips.
Always, yeah.
It's the immense importance of grips for me personally. Because a lot of my games on grips, cross-collar chokes and cross-collar grips and things like that. But for you, when I roll with you, it's your ability to get grips and then re-grip or, basically kind of chasing the grips almost. And
that was one of my first, my first little online video series product.
It's awesome.
Well, it's funny because I got a message one time, guy was like, oh man, this is kind of basic, whatever. And I'm like, bro, it might be basic, but this is the exact stuff that I use. And even yesterday, man, I was rolling with one of the guys and they're like, man, you had such a good grip on my arm. It was no-gi. But when you get so focused on gripping, it's amazing what it does. And so that's why that was one of my very first series that I made, because I'm like, look, man, if you control the grips, you control everything. Because if you don't have the grips that you want to make the move happen, you don't have anything, right? Because, how do you start? Grab this, grab this. Well, what if you can't grab it? Well, you can't do it then.
Yeah.
Very simple. But it's those little simple things. People, a lot of times, they want to overcomplicate things. They want that cool sweep, whatever, but that's cool. But you only make those cool things happen if you got the foundation laid, right? It's like, okay, you want this elaborate house that has all these different rooms and all this nice stuff and has all, it has all these cool, like little decorations everywhere. Okay, well, great. But before you can do anything, you have to build a good foundation. You got to build the walls and everything else before you can do any of that fun stuff. And a lot of times, grips and basic jiu-jitsu techniques, that lays your foundation so that you can do all the cool stuff.
That is, it's a great point. I mean, absolutely. I was rolling with Nick Pabone. He plays. What does he play?
He plays anything with a lapel.
You
gotta watch out.
He plays.
He'll play worm
guard.
Play worm guard. He played lapel. Anything.
So he we were doing pass and defend, and he was on bottom, I was on top, and he kept sweeping me. I was like, all right, next time we go, I'm just gonna fight grips. I'm just gonna fight grips to no end until he doesn't get the grips he wants, and I can kind of work on it. And that's what helped me. It took me literally 5-6 minutes in his guard or something. We were doing like pass defender, so we were in there, and I finally didn't get. So I almost did numerous times, but
because he gets those grips, man.
He gets those grips, and
your game just slows down, and then it's basically he's going to inch his way up to get that sweep.
So what I focused on was not necessarily the pass, but controlling the grips first.
Yes.
And then working on the pass.
Right.
Or working on the guard break, whatever.
You have to.
And that helped me so much. It slowed me down a lot.
But you have to. And sometimes you can't play that same speed. Everybody's a little different, and so sometimes you can get by with not controlling them as much, and sometimes you have to be so set on those grips because if you lose them, it's it.
Yeah, I was watching. He flipped me the hell over.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shit. Hope nobody saw that, but everybody did. And usually there's a couple, you get a few of those guys, but... It sucks.
Yeah.
But, you learn. You got to have those moments to learn. And so I've... Are we there? We're good. Okay. So... I think the gym has evolved throughout the years for sure. I think we're not as much an MMA gym as we used to be. Yeah, there's less guys fighting, from what I remember. It used to be, used to go to fights and you have 5, 6, 7, 8 guys on a card fighting. And it was fun. It still is fun. But, so we had some fights. It was the Hard Rock fights, is that what they're called?
Yeah, Hard Rock MMA. He had his 100th show.
100th show, and they did a big venue.
It was at a big, the 4th Street Live, so it's a big outdoor sort of bar area with food and stuff like that, and that's where they held it.
So... What was that like? I mean, if somebody that's never been, in somebody's corner for a fight or the prep, what are the emotions you're dealing with?
Oh, terrible.
How, and how do you control that stuff if you have a fighter? So you got two different aspects. You got one guy maybe so pumped up, ready to go, and one guy maybe shutting down because he's so nervous. How do you get them to the level they need to be at to perform? Because they are going out and getting punched in the face.
Yeah, that's honestly the worst part about it is actually having the guys go out, because when you fight yourself, you're at least, you're nervous, but you're at least can some control. Right. But when you have to watch someone else go out, that you really care about, God, dude, it's hard to watch. It's hard to be there because they're out there and you don't know what's going to happen and you don't have any control over it. And that's actually more difficult emotionally, right? Because you're ugh. But there's a lot that goes on. This particular fight was super lucky to have Mike Roberts down there. He was helping out with warm-ups for the guys.
Awesome. Did
a great job, and we had 2 fighters, and like you were saying, we didn't, we don't really have a ton of fighters anymore, and I think that's one because there was this explosion in Louisville about 10 years ago. Maybe, actually, it's a little more than that. Back when I was coming up, right, where everybody wanted to fight, and then all these guys got a little older, and they're like, God, this is kind of tough, right? And I'm not going to go to the big show, and what am I doing? And then you kind of question yourself. And a lot of the guys that back then they weren't dedicated to their arts. They were dedicated to, I just want to be a fighter. I want to be a tough guy. And so it's changed. And so now we just don't fight as much because everybody got kind of older. And honestly, man, to be honest with you, it's so much harder to get guys that are fighting to stick around and train consistently than it is for jiu-jitsu guys. I can get a jiu-jitsu guy that'll train 7 days a week just because he likes being here. Whereas trying to get guys to fight because they get so focused on the fight that they're not focused. George St. Pierre is a great example of a guy that's always training, right? A lot of guys that want to fight, it's like pulling teeth to get them to train. They just because their thing is not the attachment of the art; it's the attachment of the fight. And so for me, like as a coach, I just didn't really want to deal with it. I'm like, look, man, if you want to train, come train, but I'm not going to go out of my way to do this anymore because it's like herding cats. You know what I mean? Because they're just like, I just want to fight. Okay, well then just go somewhere else. You know, and so that's why we don't have a lot of those guys because I'm like, I don't want to deal with them. Like, you know, to me, loyalty is a reciprocal thing. Right, I will be loyal to you as a coach, and I will do everything I can. But you got to show up. You got to be dedicated to me. If you want me to be dedicated to you, you got to be dedicated to me. And we got to do this. We got to do this damn. You know, and so when guys don't show up consistently, unless they've got to fight, to me, you're not dedicated to me as a coach. You're not dedicated to yourself, and just as importantly, you're not dedicated to your team. Right? Like, because your team members might have fights coming up. They might need some help. Where the hell are you? Right? And there's a lot. Just scrapped it.
How do you try to motivate those people though? Like, do you just say, all right, so your jiu-jitsu's lacking. You got to come into jiu-jitsu.
I mean, dude, I've done everything that I could possibly do to pull someone in. You know, the thing is that I can share experiences and I can try to help, but ultimately someone else has to. They have to make the choice to do it. You know what I mean? You can't make someone come in and train jiu-jitsu if they don't want to train. You know, you can't make someone do something they don't want to do. And like here's a great example. We had a guy years ago fight with us, pretty good wrestler, decent striking. But man, his jiu-jitsu was terrible. When he would fight, he would almost always just grind people out. He would fight, and he would just always get a decision. The one fight while he was here that he finished, one of the jiu-jitsu coaches, Colin, sat down with him and showed him how to do a Von Flue choke. Right, and he's like, "Look, man, you're fighting this boxer. He doesn't have good jiu-jitsu. I promise you, this is what he's going to do." Right? Showed him the Von Flue choke from a double leg. He basically had to sit there over top of him while he drilled it like 20 times. Goes to the fight. Only finishes the fight. How does he finish? Double leg takedown, Von Flue choke. Only time it ever happened. That's awesome. And I actually sat down with him one day. I was like, man, listen. I was like, dude, you know, the fight that you finished, how'd you finish it? Von Flue. Okay, where'd you learn it from? Jiu-jitsu. Okay, cool. When you lose, how do you lose your matches? Not by knockouts. You don't get taken down. What happens? I get submitted to jiu-jitsu. Okay. So, you know, it seems like a no-brainer to me to be like, okay, then what do we need to work on? Jiu-jitsu. And then, but him would be like, no, I just wanted, he'd go like shadow box and stuff and just hit the bags a little bit. I'm like, well, you know what I mean?
That's common though, man. Like when you watch some of these guys that lack in either one area or the other, they just don't have a passion for it. So like, if you don't have a passion for jiu-jitsu and you like boxing, like if I have the choice, you know, to go do some stand-up or do jiu-jitsu, I'm going to do jiu-jitsu. Right. Even though my boxing needs work.
Right. But see, here's the thing, is people, a lot of times, they don't develop the love because they never get past that hard point, right? Because, like, for instance, when I first started doing boxing and stand-up, right, I was a wrestler, done jiu-jitsu. Dude, I was, like, going home every night, my jaw's sore. Like, I would come to the gym, like, fucking just bubble guts, like, oh, man, like, nervous. Because, you know, these guys at box were better than me, and I knew that I was going to take a beating sometimes, you know? But I was like, I know that eventually I'm going to get better at this. It was just like, it's your buy-in, right? Like, for wrestling, when you, I was talking to one of the guys earlier on the mats. When you wrestle, you start off getting murdered. Then eventually get murdered a little less. And then you get to the point where you're not murdering anything. They're not murdering you anymore. And then you start doing the murdering, right? But you have to buy in. And your buy-in is a lot of, like, physical, like exhaustion and pain sometimes, right? It's like in jiu-jitsu. You come in, guys are nice, obviously, but, like, you're still going to get smashed. That's your buy-in. And I like that because it's like, look, man, it's worth something. You can't circumvent the system and get good at it, right? It's not like where, you know, these people, like, you know, because I run a business, and so I'm always, you get these people in the business niches where they'll tell you how to run a successful business, right? That's and then I'll look them up. I'm like, well, what's their successful business? Well, their successful business is teaching you how to run a successful business. So they've never actually owned a business, but they're going to tell you how to do it. And because they talk good, right, they can fool people, right? And they can just regurgitate whatever they've learned from someone else they never actually used. So it sounds good, but you never used it. You don't know. You don't know what a business owner's going through. You're just a good talker. Jiu-jitsu doesn't, because rolling shows you the truth, right? If you're an MMA fighter, shows you the truth. If you're a boxer, get in the ring. It's the truth, right? You cannot circumvent that system. You might be more athletic than others. You might have a gift for it. You might get better faster, but you have to buy in. You have to pay your dues. I love that. And so it weeds out the people. Like, and so for those people that say, like, oh man, I'm just not passionate about boxing. I'm not passionate about jiu-jitsu. Well, I don't really, if you want to fight, then you got to learn it. And honestly, a lot of times that passion the real passion, not the. It's like the difference between in a relationship with a woman, right, or a man, right? You get that initial like, ooh, I like them, they're so nice, and you're all warm and fuzzy, and you just want to hang out with them all the time. That wears off, and then you're left with like, who is this person? Do I really like this person? And then if you stay with them, you hit a new stride afterwards where you start to really get into deeply, and you love them. You really love them. Not like, and when I mean the love, I mean like you can hate them and you still never want to be without them. Right? Like that's love. Like whereas like in the beginning it's just lust. It's just like it's newness. And to me, a lot of times jiu-jitsu works that way, where people come in like, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing. Absolutely. I'm gonna buy 6 gis. You know, boxing's the same way. God, I love this so much. And then after you get into it, you're like, man, this is tough. Like I'm still not getting as good as I'd like to. I thought I was going to be better after 6 months, but I'm not. You know, you start doing that. But then if you keep going, you break through that and you find a new level in your game, and then you start getting better. And that's when you get the real passion for it. That's when you get a deep love for what you're doing. And you have to get past that point. And I think that a lot of people never give things a fair shake, right? They'll write themselves off too much. I'm not a boxer. You could be a boxer if you wanted to. You just got to put some effort into it. And once you got better at it, you'd probably enjoy it more, right? Like, I mean, you just say the way it is. And so for those people like that, you know, you got to take the same approach that you did with everything else. But the problem is, and I think this is ego. People don't like, they go from being good at something, and then they got to go to being bad at something. And that's hard, because if you got really good at something, it's really hard to be bad at something if you get identified with that, right? Like maybe you were going over to the jiu-jitsu mat, you're beating the guy over here, but he's a hell of a boxer, and you go over and box with him and he's whooping your ass, right? Like, I just got done beating this guy. Yeah, over there. This is different. You know, so anyway, long little ramble about that stuff. But that's just what I saw as a coach with fighters and stuff. Guys doing that kind of thing.
Well, what about, so this weekend we had a guy that lost, and a guy that won by a quick knockout, and a guy lost by.
It was a quick fight, yeah.
Both were, I guess, fairly quick fights.
Yeah, both were quick fights.
So how do you approach that? Like if somebody loses, what's one thing you'll say to them? I mean, unless they're like, man, I was there, or
so the guy that lost, Kevin, man, he got out there, and I think he was nervous. He started going out there and he started tagging the guy, and the guy backed up, put his head down. I mean, the guy was just like backed all the way up against the cage and just put his head down. Kevin, I think, got relaxed. He relaxed a little bit, let his hands come down, and he was getting ready to go for the kill. You know, because you see someone duck, it's more of a disarming type thing, right? And the guy swung from his hip, ducked his head. He wasn't even looking, man. He just threw overhand right, hit him, clipped him, and he hit him with it, and he got a nice cut. And that was the end of the fight. Like, it sucked. It was Keevan's mistake, right? I think if he would have pulled back and played smart, right? It's like the George St. Pierre versus Matt Serra thing, right? Like, he just saw the guy drop his hands and like, oh shit, oh, he's done, right? I'm going to run in. And it was a similar situation. Guy backs up and just swings. And then the other one was Randy, and he knocked the guy out with a really good shot quickly. As far as what you say when someone loses, I mean, first off, you don't berate them. You pick them up, right? I mean, that's... Because to me, like I was telling Keevan this before, okay, you lost a fight. Is your girlfriend still like you? Yeah. Do you think I still care about you as a person? Mom still love you? Yeah. Not much changes, right? It's more about you. And the thing is with all the stuff that we do, it's more about self-development to me in the long run. Like in the long run, right? In those moments, it's about that win, that loss, but in the long run, it's about that development of yourself, who you're becoming along the way. And to me, a lot of times people don't, it's one of those things where it sounds cool in a meme, right? It sounds cool, oh, like, you know, your journey, man, like when things become negative, it's really the positive, whatever the bullshit they want to post on it. But when you're in it, it fucking sucks, right? Like to put that hat on when you're in the middle of getting getting your face smashed and you get back and you put so much into something and you lost, you came up short. It's something that just, for a moment at least, stills all the self-worth in you. And it's so hard to be like that. But, you know, Keevan, you know, he was bummed out. He was frustrated because he knew he had it, right? He was like, dude, I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? And you just console him. You do what you can. And when we come back, we'll look at it and be like, look, here's what you did wrong. Let's never make that mistake again. And you'll be better for it. So
that's awesome.
So you can.
Yeah, he's awesome. Awesome guy. Keevan, I love Keevan. He's great, man. It's fun. He just goes out there and just freaking goes for it. And
he's grown so much as a person.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
He started teaching guys like boxing. He's become a good lead.
Such a good dude.
Yeah,
he's talented. He good wrestling base, and we've seen him, you know, win. I think he's won by submission. We've seen him win by knockout too. You know.
Yeah, Keevan's incredibly explosive.
Yes.
He's knocked people out on the feet. He's knocked people out from like striking inside their guard.
That's awesome.
Like, I mean, dude, he's got he's explosive. He's probably like, if we were going to do like a 40-yard dash, he's probably the fastest guy in the gym. Like we used to do runs, and it was just like, God, he's so fast. Now he slows down, but like get that quick explosion. Yeah. He's got some fast twitch in him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
yeah. He's always, whenever we train together, man. It's I know he's gonna
like he's
probably gonna take me down.
Like yeah, feel that explosion. Like
I gotta get my grips, close guard, dude, slow him down. Yeah, it's fun though. It's fun. Yeah, it's hard to see some like your friends and your training partners kind of go through a tough loss.
It is.
But he seemed like he was really positive about it.
He is. I mean, again, what are you going to do? And he's a smart guy, man. He's not dumb. So it's like, he's like, what else can you do? Life is all about perception. A negative's a negative because you make it a negative, right? And it is like that. I mean, like there's negative stuff that can happen back and forth, but it becomes what you take of it.
Sure.
And again, it's hard to say that when you're in it. Sometimes take a step back. Give yourself a moment to like be
right.
moody and sad.
You gotta
upset.
grieve.
You gotta grieve. You gotta let it out. But then like take a deep breath, pick yourself up, and be like, okay. Find the positive in it, because it's going to happen one way or the other, right? Like the Joseph Campbell, one of my favorite quotes from him, and he probably got it from somewhere else. But like take joy in the suffering, because like life is suffering.
Yeah.
So just take joy in it. Like it's going to be a tough road. There's nothing you can do about it. So just take joy in every step of the way.
I was going to ask you, and there's a huge, well not huge, but there's a tournament coming up, jiu-jitsu tournament. We got a lot of guys competing this Saturday. It's Fuji.
Yeah, we got a local tournament. Yeah. We got a local tournament where we're going to have a bunch of guys competing. Mm-hmm.
Sounds like, everybody trained pretty hard. You feel like?
Everybody's trained really well. Yeah, so I'm excited to see probably in another 3 months after I change up the program a little bit, to see how that changes things.
Do you like kind of these tournaments, even like smaller local ones? Just so it seems like every time we have one, you come back with 2, 3, 4 things that like, I saw this, we got to change this, and it almost helps guide kind of where we take the techniques we're working on.
Yeah, well, see, the best part about tournaments is because you go in there and they're the most stressful situation in most cases, like in just pure jiu-jitsu, right? Sure. It's our most stressful situation. Like you can try, but you can't fabricate that stress, because it's like you have someone you don't know, you're in a foreign space that you don't roll on day to day. And this person doesn't like you. You guys didn't hang out and talk prior to like whatever. I mean, you're just there with some random stranger, and then kombach or go fight, whatever they say, and you're basically going with this person. And a lot of times it exposes the gaps in the game, because like the holes become much more apparent in those situations, and you get to see, okay, this is something that we're lacking, or this is something we need to work on, whatever it might be.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I wanted to compete, but I'm not going to be able to make it. It sucks.
The ribs.
Huh?
The ribs.
Yeah. Well, no, I got other stuff. I got other prior engagements too, which sucks. But I was going to ask you, so have you seen that picture on the interwebs of Husamar Paul Harris?
Yeah.
Jack to the gills.
He's so big.
He's huge.
He's so big.
And so he's going to be, I think it's next weekend, he's going against Craig Jones.
Yeah, Craig Jones.
And obviously... Paul Harris is, I don't know if it's all natural. It
ain't all natural.
It is what it is. Hey man. He got caught once. Doesn't mean he's juicing over here.
Here's my thing. I don't care. Like, I just don't care, man. It's like, because you don't know who is and who isn't, because just because they don't look like it doesn't mean that they aren't. Because I mean, who like, there was a couple guys in like jiu-jitsu that got popped that didn't look like they were on anything.
Yeah.
They got popped at like the IBJF or whatever.
Well, so let's talk about not just for physical, or not just for what advantage they get from performance enhancing drugs, but physically being that big. He's going against a guy that's pretty tall.
Yeah, Craig Jones got, because Husamar, what does he build at height wise? Because I mean, when he was here 5'6", I mean, he was short, bro. I mean, because when he was here in Louisville, and there was that picture that you're talking about. There was one where they had him like side by side. They had him now where he's just like yoked to the gills, and they had this side by side picture of when he had just gotten done cutting weight to like 170. And I'm like, bro, like that dude was always yoked. Like, I mean, like I remember seeing him when he was like 185, fighting at 185. Yeah. And he was here in town, right? I think you saw him too.
Right.
You were sitting right by him.
Yeah,
right?
he was at. We went to Little. It was again somewhere around 4th Street.
Yeah.
I don't know where it was, but we were sitting at a restaurant, and him and Murillo Bustamante, that's one of his coaches, were just sitting there, and I was like looking. I was like, this dude looks like a boulder.
Yeah, dude. I mean, his back, bro. I mean, like, I remember seeing him. I was like, God, dude, better be careful. That guy might just fly away. His lats are so big. He's like wide, man.
So I guess what I want to ask you is, and we both we've talked about this word advantage, disadvantage, but being that muscular. Obviously, strength advantage probably, but what about an endurance?
I mean, dude, the muscle takes oxygen, man. Like it takes oxygen to run. There's some freaks out there that can be incredibly muscular and that they seem to cope with it. But most people, when they get really big, like it tends to not do so well in the long term. You know, what I mean, they tend to get tired. You know, I mean, it might be different from him. I don't know, but I'm just saying, in most cases, when you see guys like that big, you know that it's like, they may not, you know, be able to do the long haul, but like you know that you're going to be in for some hell for several minutes because they're going to have that strength and that power.
Yeah, it's interesting to see because now he's locked forever.
Yeah.
You got Craig Jones, kind of newer guy, younger guy.
Yeah, he was one of the original guys doing leg locks in MMA and being being successful with them a lot. Like he was just tearing people's limbs off.
Yeah,
you know,
I think
literally
the first he was on a tear, and then the first time I think he got beat.
Was it Belcher?
Yeah, Alan Belcher. Who's got a solid jiu-jitsu game.
Yeah, well, Belcher was solid.
Bigger guy.
Well, and Belcher was smart. If I'm correct, he brought in a bunch of guys to work with him, like Dean Lister or something. Like brought a bunch of leg lock guys in to work with him prior to that match, and like that's kind of basically brushed up on his leg locks. He knew it was up because he was like, I know that I'm going to be leg locked. Right, I know that I'm going to be there, so I need to be ready to be there. And so he had a lot of good leg lockers come in and train with him.
Yeah, it's definitely a different game because I mean, in an MMA fight versus a strictly jiu-jitsu or grappling event. Like, do you have a guy that you think is going to win
out of those two?
Yeah,
man, and again, I don't have any things to say about either one of them really. I mean, I think that if I had to bet money, I would put money on Craig Jones. He's longer. He's been really active with jiu-jitsu competitions. He can go for a long time. Like he just got out of the ADCC and looked great.
Yeah.
So I would put him in my mind just based upon like his match with Gary Tonin. He wasn't able to put Gary Tonin away. Who's got good leg locks, and Craig Jones has really good leg locks too.
Yeah.
I think that a young, youthful guy who's in great shape that's competing, that's right now sort of the tip top right now. It's like I just think that he's probably going to be able to take it.
He's training out there with John Donovan.
Yeah. So I think he's probably going to take it. I think.
Well, I don't know, and I wonder if they can have draws. I feel like it's going to be a draw, probably. I feel like neither guys going to be.
I can see it being.
They can have that. I think it's just going to be them kind of attacking, and I think Pahar's being like so short, like and stocky. It's going to be hard to kind of get in there.
I mean, dude, be that short and stocky, man. It's going to be so hard to like expose something because he's just like, he's just like a little brick.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if they don't get submitted, that's definitely a possibility. Because I mean,
I think it's gonna be a draw, man. I think maybe Craig Jones will be attacking more. Mm-hmm. He might be on the defensive initially, like we talked about with Pahar's being so big.
Yeah.
But then I think the tide's gonna shift. I think he's gonna go on the defensive, but I don't think he's gonna finish him.
I can see it going to a draw. I didn't know we were going to throw that out there.
I don't know if it's even a thing. I didn't look up the rule set.
But my sort of thought process is the way I would see the match going down would probably be, I think Kasai does, like, they just do judges too.
Maybe.
Because was it Nicky Ryan and Gio Martinez? Didn't he, like...
that might have been, you might be right. I think it's like a 10 or 15 minute match or something.
So
like that.
I think if I was going to say how the match would play out, I think probably Paul Harris would probably come out the aggressor first.
Yeah.
He's going to have that powerful just boom. I think he would take the first, like, some section of the match, right? And I think as he slows down, it'll become a little more even, and I would see Craig Jones taking over from there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Because first off, with his skill mixed with his strength and power, I mean, good lord, dude, like, just trying to bottle that up, like, that's just, you're just going to have to go for a ride, man.
Yeah, I think if I could compare him as far as his jiu-jitsu to like an MMA fighter, like Vitor Belfort.
Or Kevin Randleman, like someone
really
like that. Yeah, just like some guy that were just so much power,
God, I like TRT Vitor. That was awesome. He was so much fun.
He looked amazing.
It was so good. Like, he's killing, like, people's heads were almost like...
Oh, my God. And it was just insane to see the difference. Like, he was, Vitor obviously is genetically a gifted guy.
Sure.
And then you mix that in with, like, some pharmaceuticals, and, like, it's like, whoa, dude. Like,
well, I also think genetics, and then also how your body responds. Some people's bodies just, like, suck that shit up, dude, and they're like,
see, that's my thing.
He was, I think, on some stuff when he first
When he was first in?
When he was first,
oh, absolutely.
He was like 18, 19.
Oh, my God, dude.
He had like his lats.
Dude, his traps.
Or his traps, I mean,
they were up to his ears. Like, there was the match where and then if you looked at his trainer, like, one of his trainers, and like, that dude, I think it was like on Joe Rogan, they call it garden hoses. Like, the guy's veins were so big.
Is it the guy that also is
He's dead.
with Anderson?
No, this guy's dead.
This guy's dead.
This guy was like some big bodybuilding coach or whatever, but like, dude, the guy was like in his corner, like when he was fighting, at the 18 years old, his like traps were up to his freaking forehead, and he didn't have a neck.
Trucks, bro.
Oh my God, dude, he's so big.
It was awesome. It was fun. It was fun to watch.
But yeah, so I mean, it's going to be interesting, But going back to, there's some guys that I think are on plenty of stuff that they don't look like it. I mean, obviously, like friggin', you got a guy that's 5'6", he puts on a pound of muscle. It shows a lot more than it does, But I think there's guys that are on stuff like some guys that are maybe older or whatever that they don't get caught or they don't look like it. Average guys, but they're still on stuff for recovery purposes.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point.
Because I know some people, right? So it's like, well, I know some people that they talk about that. They're like, man, I'm training real hard, whatever, and all these guys out there, they're doing this, and they're doing it for recovery purposes.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, yeah, the one thing I had a YouTube question about, like some guy was adding strength training or something and getting injured every time he added strength training. I'm like, well, your body's not recovering. Yeah. It's the main thing is recovery. So you got to back off somewhere. If you want to add more stress on your body, you have to take some stresses out.
Yes.
So I think that, still at 34, 35, and you're like at 32 or 33.
33.
So like, I think we're still their athletic prime.
Yeah.
But you can't go 100 miles an hour for as long and as frequently.
Right, and it also depends on how much like what is your overall athletic capacity, right? Because if you've been training for a long time, your capacity is way higher. And one of the biggest things, man, is rest. And I mean like rest and getting regimented sleep, like I talked about at the beginning of the podcast. Yes. Get your sleep. It's so freaking important. Like in this culture that we live in today, it's like everybody acts like you're a pussy if you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Like, no, man, you're being smart, bro. You're getting sleep, the stuff that you need to make your body like it's the yin and yang symbol, right? Two sides of the same coin. You don't have one without the other. You're going to do all this. Like everybody only focuses on like what kind of training do I need? What kind of lifting do I need to do? What kind of exertion do I need to do? But they need to also ask themselves the same question. What kind of food do I need to eat? How much carbohydrates, how much protein should I be eating? What types of food should I be eating? Am I getting nutrient dense food? Am I getting enough salt? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I drinking too much caffeine that's disturbing my sleep? Am I looking at my damn phone before I go to bed? There's so many different factors that go into it, and people don't think about the sleep part of it. They just, or the rest part of it. Even like someone asked me the other day, it was on my, every Friday I do an open question thing on Instagram, like ask me a question. And Hanato Laraja's on?
What?
Hanato Laraja? The 28th time world champion.
Oh man.
But so the for me, like, so one of the guys asked on Instagram, I got off topic. He said, CBDs, by the way, someone just put a CBD. CBD oil is really great.
Yes.
But he was asking, what's the best thing you do for recovery? As if I'm going to give him like a tactic. Like, I'm going to foam roll and do this, and all that stuff's great. But I was like, you know what does the best for me? Giving myself permission to not do a damn thing for the day. And it's hard too, because I'm so wired to do something that I feel almost like I need to be working out, so I'll go for a walk. Like Thursday was my off day. I went for a walk, sat down over the park, read for a little bit, and chilled out. I didn't do a damn thing, right? I relaxed, and I let my body relax. And you have to do that, man, because people like go. Mm-hmm. If you sleep when I'm dead kind of idea, it's like, man, like that's great and all, but one thing I think about is that everything that we do is cumulative, right? As far as like stress to the body, we don't think about it that way. We only worry if we're hurt, right? But every little bit adds up, sometimes more than others. It's like a neck crank, right? Okay, maybe you hold out on the neck crank today, nothing hurts. But the damage that was done is done. It's still there. Mm-hmm. If you keep getting neck crank, eventually, it's going to break. Something's going to hurt, and then you're going to have a disc separated, or you're going to have to like be walking around like this for like 4 weeks. And when you do all that stress and no like recovery, you're just doing a cumulative damage and never giving your body to kind of like the chance to reduce it a little bit.
Right.
And so for me, it's like, man, like, dude, rest. It's okay. Sleep. Get your 7-8 hours. And if you're going to add some strength training, you better be eating good quality food, and you need the rest. That's another thing, guys. Like they'll try to like, I'm just all over the place, but they'll try to. I see this all the time. they'll do jiu-jitsu and they're like, oh, this is great. And then they start lifting weights, great. And then they go into caloric deficit because they're trying to lose weight. I'm like, bro, like eat your damn food. Like eat your food and like get to where you're at a good capacity. And then if you want to start to shed the calories a little bit and get to a caloric deficit, then we'll do it slowly.
Yeah.
But don't starve yourself because otherwise your performance is gonna tank. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, it's not like a one size fits all. It's a multifaceted approach. Mm-hmm. I mean, like sleep is one, diet is another. You know, recovery, or like you said, people don't focus on those things until they're injured or hurt. Mm-hmm. It's like if you do that shit all along in the process, and you're gradual, you know, it's all about stress. How much stress your body can endure before it reaches that breaking point. So you got to figure out where that is, what level of stress you're under, and then gradually increase it. So don't add so many variables to the mix. Add one.
Yeah.
See how your body
into it.
See how your body, you know, responds, and you know if you're a little sore or whatever, you may So you want to add strength training in. Great. Add your strength training in, but you may have to back off of in jiu-jitsu, or if you want to get your reps in, you may just say, look, I'm not going to roll hard. I'm just going to move. Yeah. Whatever that is.
It's hard for people though, man.
It is. It's very hard. It's hard for anybody because you don't want to seem like a punk. Like you don't want to be like, oh, I'm not rolling today. And
it's just about people's mentality. It's just like they think that they're falling behind. Yeah. You know, if you miss like one day of training because you took a rest, you feel like you're falling behind. It's so silly, bro. Like my best, like some of my best days of training are, guess what? When I come back from like 2 days of rest, where for some reason I couldn't train, and I come back and I feel like $1,000,000. You know, and then some of my, like, the days where I keep trying to grind, I end up running into some of my worst days of training. And so, like, one of the things, again, with my age and wisdom of training, again, I'm not old, but I've had a lot of mileage in the body. Yes. One of the things is to rest and enjoy that rest. Savor the rest. Enjoy every moment of it. Like, sit down and just relax and give yourself permission. And, like, for you guys listening to this, man, don't treat it as like, oh, I'm falling behind. No, you're setting yourself up for the next day, because you're going to be able to go at a higher capacity that next day after a nice, long day of rest. You know, after a nice, like, relaxed, non-stressful day, your body will be nice and recovered, and then, boom, you can hit it hard that next day, and you'll be able to get so much more out of that session because you've had more time to recoup. It's like lifting weights. If you do a heavy set, let's say you do a heavy set of 12, right? Boom, your muscles are sore, you're muscle fatigued, and you're burning, whatever. If you try to do another heavy set of 12 in 30 seconds, dude, you're not gonna get much out of your body. But if you take like a nice 1.5, maybe 3 minute rest interval, dude, you're gonna be able to get another good set in. It's the same thing with your body. If you hit it super hard, you need a little downtime, man. You need your time to rest, so this way you can come back and hit it harder and get more out of those sessions.
Yeah, and like active recovery too is great. You know, like yoga, flow, movement, drills, whatever it is. You know, you don't have to just sit around, do nothing. Like you said, go for a walk, go for some kind of, you know, I like doing some kind of movement, not strenuous, but movement, where whether I'm just moving through some stretches or have some kind of flow. It doesn't have to be anything. You can do like cardio if you want.
Go for a nice long walk with your girlfriend.
Perfect.
Like, dude, that's like something that my girlfriend and I will, like, when I'm not training those days, I'll go out for walks with her. We'll just go for a walk, like a nice long walk, talk to each other, enjoy our company, get my mind somewhere else. Right. You know, even distance away from training, right? Just don't think about it, right? Get complete separation from it so that you can come and recover back and recoup. You know, I'll go on vacations by myself and just to get away from everything that I'm around, so that I can come back and I can be more refreshed, because, you know, time away is helpful. You know,
I think you brought up a good point as not just a physical break, but also a mental break. That's important. It is. I think, you know, if you're mentally still going 100 miles an hour, you are gonna not be able to get the adequate rest, not the adequate sleep, not the proper level of sleep that you need. You know, you can.
Well, it's like okay, you didn't train today, but you sat around and watched YouTube videos all day about jiu-jitsu. You really didn't take much of a break. You're still there.
Yeah,
like
your mind
separate. Like, you know, go work on some other aspect of your life. Go do something else, you know? And then this way you have separation, so that this way you're hungry. You know, you're like, God, I took the whole day off. I took 2 days off, whatever it is, and I'm so ready to be there. You know, you get so much more out of that.
Right. Yeah, I think you'll be able to train with more purpose, maybe. You'll be more focused.
And you're just going to want it more. Yeah. Instead of being like, I'm here another day, I'm grinding, like...
That's good. That's important every now and again, but also you got to vary your training, too.
Well, it's like we talked about, like, some of the guys, like some of our friends that we've met in Atos, right? Like, it's a hard training gym. Yes. And those dudes talk about when they're training, they, like, train in the morning, go home, go to sleep, get back up, train, go to sleep. I mean, just, like, sleep is so important. Yeah. They're just, like, sleeping all the time because they're professional athletes, and they got to get their rest.
Yeah.
You know? So, get your sleep, guys.
Get your sleep. Chewy, should we do a few questions? We're at like an hour and 10 minutes.
Let's do it.
Let's do a few question.
Yeah, so guys, we got a bunch of people watching right now, and a lot of you guys are in here. Throw out a question, and we will answer them today in the live.
Not to Lorena. So awesome. Drop some knowledge.
Is that like the real one?
I don't know. Are you real? Tell us, how do we know if you're real?
Because I feel like sometimes you'll get people that have like the same name, and you're like, wait a second.
It's spelled correctly.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
Let's click on him.
I used to love watching his videos.
Let me go to his channel.
His videos are hilarious.
No, it says, well, maybe he's only got 27 subscribers. I don't know.
No, not the real one.
Wow.
Not the real one.
All right, so let's find a question.
All right, so let me see.
We'll run through like 2 or 3 questions.
Yeah, let me look here. I saw one earlier, if I can find it real fast.
Let's see. We already answered that. Who's smarter, Harris or Craig Jones? I say it's a draw if you're allowed to have a draw. Or I'll pick Craig Jones by decision.
I'll pick Craig Jones. If my money's on someone, it's on him. I think I still like Paul Harris though. You know, just I don't like when he like rips people's like limbs off and does.
Yeah, he doesn't let go of stuff.
I don't like that because I mean you're taking away their ability to train and do what they love.
Sure.
I think you should be more respectful of that. But as far as like
maybe he just gets in the moment.
It's not an excuse. Like bro, it's like you're a professional. Like that's super important. You got to take care of the people. Because especially if the guy's tapping, like
yeah, you should.
I mean, take care. If you're a professional athlete, that's the way that you put money on the table.
Take care of your partner.
Yeah, it's not even like in a match. Like if I'm competing against someone, like I'm there to rip their face off as soon as they tap, as soon as the ref says stop, whatever it is, done. Like I mean, to me, that's a professional, on and off, right? Like I can go in and I can get in the zone. I can be so mean to where the point, where there was one match I accidentally dislocated the guy's shoulder. I wasn't trying to; it just happened. But as soon as someone says stop, or as soon as I feel the tap, I instantly let go, and all that stuff. So I mean, that's super important because again, if you're a professional man, and we all know what it's like. We love being on the mats, right? So I don't want to as much as I want to win, I don't want to take you off the mats.
Right.
So if you tap, I'm going to try to be as quick as I can to let go. Mason Campos, when is your gi coming? Well, we get the gis. As soon as the pre-order ends, which is August 20th, if it even lasts that long, we're running out of gis. We actually sold some since we've been on here on the live feed. As we sell those gis, once the order's put in, it takes about 3 to 4 weeks for us to get them. Then we ship them out, and domestic shipping is usually 2 to 6 days, and then international shipping can range really widely. So I don't want to put too much of a specific date.
I'm trying to find another question.
Okay, here's one. This is an easy one. Scott Miller, do you have any strategies for beginners to save fingers as they are building the finger strength? I do. So one of the big ones, and I talk about this in my grip fighting videos, let go. Yeah. It's the simplest thing, but guys will hold these death grips on, and one of the things I'll do is if I feel someone getting ready to rip that grip off, I'll let go, and I'll immediately grab it again once they're done, right? So you can do that, but you can also focus on doing different positions. So let's maybe say you're playing spider guard or something like that, or you're playing from your full guard as a beginner, and you're grabbing lots of sleeves and stuff. Cool. Why don't you grab wrists and underhooks and overhooks? Change it up a little bit. I always call this rotating the tires, right? To give your body a little bit more even wear. Try to change up the positions you're playing from, and try to change the way you do things so that you even things up a little bit, so you're not wearing down one part of your body prematurely.
I think a good point you just said, but also switching it in no-gi as well.
Sure, yeah.
So gi and no-gi. I've had some finger issues. Definitely letting go is smart. Some taping, people have used the grip tape or Luda gear as grip tape, those little finger sleeves. I've tried some of that stuff. I actually like it pretty well. I like taping as well if I've got a joint that's kind of really irritated, just to give a little support and stability. But I think the best option is to let go early.
Yeah. Got another one here from Adrian Pascua. I'm probably saying that wrong. How do you deal with someone whose ego doesn't let them tap? So if I get someone with a big ego and I get them in an armbar is a great example, right? So if you have a good submission, you typically will be exercising primarily control, and then you have the point to where you could break or whatever, but you stop. What I'll do is I will hold that person, and let's say I have an armbar, have the hand on my chest, thumb is up, whatever, and I'm putting pressure on them, and I'll pinch the knees. When I'm there, when I get to the point where it's tight and I still feel them, on the ground, trying to push off, I'll say, hey, is that there? Am I getting? Or you whatever, basically bring light to the thing that, hey, I got you. And then, you know, if they say, no, it's not there yet, I'm like, well, man, I can break this here. Like, I'm holding you down. I'll literally say this. I'm like, I've had this happen back when I was a purple belt. There was a guy that I rolled with years ago, and he was like this. And I was like, hey, like, I have you in an armbar. I can break your arm right now if I want to. So let's stop. And if they don't, I will literally let go, and I'm done. And I don't want to roll anymore. Like, if I had someone that doesn't want to tap, I'm not going to roll with you anymore. Because, like, I don't want to walk out of the gym breaking my opponent, right? Breaking my training partners. That's not what I'm about. So I would stop rolling. I'd go talk to my coach, be like, I'm not rolling this dude. And I mean, you can say it as simply as that. Don't be afraid to do that, because if someone's being unsafe, and you've got someone again, you're exercising that control 1,000, 1,000, and you have it to where you can literally just break it, or you got them in a choke, and they're turning purple and stuff, and like they're not tapping. Just like be like, I'm done, dude. I don't want to roll. Like this is we're on different places. You're in a different place than me, and I don't really want to do this. You know, it's one thing in a competition, you might let your arm break, you might let your toe break or something. I mean, it happens. But in the gym, if you got to go to those lengths to win, then I would probably just tell you to get up, say, man, I'm not rolling with him, coach. Like, he's crazy. Like,
yeah,
it's just too much.
Sometimes, it's a knowledge thing as well. If somebody's kind of inexperienced, they don't know they're really in as severe position as they think they're in. I try to kind of make eye contact, I guess, and kind of look at them and check their facial expressions if I can. And gradually, gradually increase the tension until I feel like, it's pretty much the point of breaking, and I let up. I just let go.
Yeah. I don't want to break anybody.
No. Not to prove a point, not to,
I mean, what do you gain from that? To me, it's honestly, you feel worse about it.
Right.
Because empathetically, you know what it feels like to be injured, and you don't want to put someone through that. Here's one. Anonymous Automation. Chewy, what do you think about Kurt Osiander getting fired for swearing, bare-chested homophobia, and drugs? Do you know about that?
I don't think he got fired. I think he left and started his own gym.
Okay. So
the thing with Kurt Osiander is, I've had him actually on my podcast before, and this is the way he is. It's not a shtick.
It's just him,
man. And, like, I've asked him about that. I was like, well, what if, like, you have a mom bring in her, like, young kid to the gym, like, and I don't know his exact response, but, he's probably going to, throttle it a certain way, but he's that guy. He I don't think, when I talk to him, and I've seen his videos, he's not a guy that hates people. He's just kind of, it's just him. It's just the way he was, his upbringing, I guess, and
he's just rowdy.
Yeah, and if you like learning from a guy that does that and you don't mind, it's just like I was talking to, Christian Woodmansee, and he's like, man, I was like, do you ever have somebody that comes in like, oh, you have all these tattoos, I don't want to work with you? He's like, well, if they're like that, then I don't feel like they're the right fit. So
absolutely.
I don't feel like it's. I think it's just Kurt. That's just the way he is, and he's always been, and that's kind of made him who he is. His kind of brash
because he's
style.
Unique.
He's
different, and that's the thing. Like, we're in such a culture now where people get so sensitive about everything.
I think the gym, like, we make some jokes sometimes, but we don't mean. It's all out of love, and we care about each person. When we're on the mats, it doesn't matter who you are.
Here's the thing to me, like, in day to day, right? Have you ever seen the movie Shrek?
Yes.
Okay. So when Shrek meets Fiona, Shrek has on what?
I don't remember.
He has on armor, right? She can't see him, right? She can't actually see who he is on the inside. That was symbolic, by the way, in the movie. It's not done on happenstance. Symbolic. You cannot see him. She doesn't know who he actually is. Okay, he's scared to show, right? He doesn't want to pull off his armor because then she's going to see he's a big green monster. So he doesn't take the armor off at first. And then when he does, she sees him. We go about life day to day in most experiences like that. We have on our social armoring where we don't let people actually see who we are. We don't expose who we are. We don't tell them who we really are. We don't tell them our real thoughts. We keep it all in a nice, like, little PC, like little box. So it's like, yeah, it's like, I feel like this. Like, I mean, imagine, like, we both worked in corporate culture. God, it's brutal. You can't even be a human being. You've got to use nice big words and talk like this because, whatever. It's like this whole thing. But when you come into the gym and you beat the snot out of each other and you're literally exchanging bodily fluids with people, sweating and bleeding, and you're rolling and you're slamming each other and you're doing all these crazy things that people don't understand. To me, at least in here, it's different in other gyms, but in a gym like ours where there's not this hard, like, you've got to, like, bow down to me kind of thing, where it's like, I'm just one of you guys here. I'm just a little bit more along than you, and let's do this together. There's a community and a culture where, like, we tear that armoring down. We can say what we want to say. We can exchange like really just whatever we're thinking. Like one of the white belts actually commented on this the other day with me. His name's Matt, and he was talking about how he was having a really deep conversation with another one of the white belts that he was training, or I think it was the white belt that he was training with. And he's just like, we're having like a super deep conversation that I don't have with people on a day-to-day basis, right? Because again, we've done all this stuff. Like we can't talk about this. This isn't on the table. You know, and we make lots of not PC like jokes because it just doesn't matter. To me, it's like we're equal opportunity. Like we make fun of everything. You know, like because again, like you know the silliness of some of it. You know, and because we feel secure with one another. Right. Like if you're in the group, we feel secure because like I trust you to not break my arm. I trust you not to choke me unconscious. I trust you to make sure that I leave this gym in good shape to where I can go home to my wife or my husband or whatever, right? We trust each other. And that trust allows you to basically say what you want to say, and you can remove that social mask that you have on, and you can just say what you want to say. You can be who you want to be, and it doesn't have to be like a Planet Fitness for jiu-jitsu, right? Where you can't say what you want to say. You better not say this or the long alarm's going to go off, right? You can do what you want to do. You can be who you want to be, man. And I think that's important. So to me, like, when... in jiu-jitsu gyms where if something like that happens where people get fired for this or whatever, I'm like, man, it's silly.
Well, I think you also...
But I think right here he said, according to Kurt, he said he was told at his new gym or house gym he couldn't teach at both. So that makes more sense to me. Yeah, because I mean, that guy was teaching forever.
They knew. Yeah, he's there like 20 years.
Yeah, he'd been a fraternity. They knew that guy was like...
But man,
was Kurt.
Going back to your point, when you're going to a level of such high effort and you're pretty much leaving so much of yourself on the mats and you're giving so much of yourself to your partners, you know, you're fighting through some things, some difficult situations, you know, sometimes really test you mentally and physically. I think you've earned their respect in a way that they understand that you care about them as an individual. It doesn't matter what walk of life they are or what religion they are or, you know, what they believe in or what they like to do, or you just kind of, you're just all people, man. And we have people with very different political views, and man, we love each other and we hug. It doesn't matter. I mean, you respect each other on the mats and you respect them as people, regardless of their opinions.
Right. I mean, because it's one of the things, like, I remember looking on the mat one time and seeing there were Christians, there were Jewish people, there were Muslims, there were atheists. There were white people, black people, Asian people, people from different countries here, people that were, there are guys that are very wealthy people that are training here, there are people that are bored training here. There was a guy on the mat that had given plasma for his gym membership. And I told him, I was like, we were like, just like, don't worry about it this month. You know what I mean? Like, but he was like, here, no, it's fine, awesome, man. It's okay. But we had all these different people on the mats, right? From all these different walks of life. They're training. And you just look at it and you're like, wow, this is amazing. Where on earth right now can we get all these people that normally would be separated by such silly divides, you know, oh, well, I believe in this God, you believe in this one. Or I make this much money, so I'm never going to see you, right? Because we're just going to be in different opposite ends. Where can you get all those people and they can just be one, where it doesn't matter about who you are outside of the gym, it matters about who you are inside. And that's all that matters. And that's the cool part about it, right? And now that can be a good thing for some people, and some people can't deal with it because when they're outside the gym, they're a big shot. When they come in, they're not. But I think it's a cool thing where you can get people together and you can just tear down all these silly, like, because, man, the way I look at it, we're all one, right? We're all in this. There was a cool quote I heard. It was something to the effect of you can learn a lot from crayons, right? Because you've got bright colored ones, you got different colored ones, you've got some that are sharp, some that are dull, some that have weird names, some that are pretty normal names, but they're all in the same crayon box together. Right, we're all on the same thing. As much as we want to separate ourselves, humans are pretty similar in the way we do things. There are some differences, and sometimes that, you know, obviously social stuff can change things. But for the most part, we're all doing the same shit. And I think it's always a better policy to try to find a way to come together and be close to one another, because we're all on the same earth together. We're all on the same, this whole thing together. So if you can find a way to sort of like basically find common ground with your fellow man, rather than try to draw lines in the sand against one another, it's always a better policy. Yeah, you know.
I always liked Genki Sudo. He had that, we were all one.
Yeah.
Always had that flag. He was awesome. He was fun dude. Fun dude to watch. All right, we got any more?
We always have some. Last one we'll do from Michael Rivera. He says, total noob here, joining my first class in 2 weeks. I'm worried about infections in cauliflower. Any tips or advice on preventions, i.e. healthy bacteria soaps, ear guards? Sorry if this was covered. It was not covered today, and we'll answer it. I'll let you touch on the bacteria stuff, but I want to talk about the cauliflower ear.
All right, I'm
going first.
I got a little baby one.
Look, I'm gonna show if you guys are watching this right now, you're seeing
they're gnarly. His ears are gnarly.
It's not even that bad. It's actually just a nice little bit.
So I always, and Chewy may be different, I've always tried to, number one, wash your gi.
Mm-hmm.
I don't wash my belt every time, but I do wash my belt. You're not going to lose any of your skill by washing your belt.
You might lose a stripe, but the coach can always put those back on.
But I do use a defense soap all the time. That's something I've used all the time. Like, as soon as I get home, I try to use defense soap just to clean off. I don't really use, like, Dial or any kind of antibacterial soap because it takes a lot of the good stuff off your skin.
I use that Dr. Bronner's.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's like tea. It's like oils.
So Defense Soap's got a bunch of essential oils and stuff, and they've sent me a bunch of stuff. I love their stuff. Yeah. It's really good, and it's good on your skin. It's not really too harsh. And there's also, if you can't get home and get a shower, they have these defense wipes, which are pretty awesome too. But definitely wash your gi. Yeah. And I just, as a rule of thumb, try to clean yourself, and the mats need to be clean as well.
So that's the big one.
Gyms are clean.
If people are cleaning themselves. If the mats are clean, it's kind of, for me, man, I think it's kind of, I think it's hard to get some sort of infection. I think it is. Like, maybe if you're just healthy, you got a healthy immune system, maybe I'm lucky, whatever. But, if the mats are clean, if you're cleaning your stuff, it should be good. You should be fine. I mean, like, dude, sometimes I'll go home and I'm just tired. I just go home and go to sleep. I'm just exhausted. I don't take a shower afterwards. I'll shower in the morning. It's like, fine. Like, you don't have any problems. Like, it's like, if there's some funky dude that's, like, walking around the mat, I'll tell him to go home and wash his gi. You know what I mean? Or if I see people that's got, like, weird dirt and stuff, I can go home. Like, you need to go clean up.
Your toenails and your fingers.
Yeah, all that stuff. But as far as the cauliflower, man, like, or as far as the infections. Man, first off, don't worry about cauliflower and infections. Like, dude, you're doing this thing. If you're getting ready to try your first class, you're just worried about, like, all this random stuff. Don't worry about that shit. Like, just don't live your life out of fear. Like, because, dude, like, don't worry about it. Trust me. Now, as far as your cauliflower, don't even worry about it. If you get it, cross that bridge when you get there. But honestly, I like having my cauliflower here for a few reasons, really. One, because I always wanted some. I always wanted to have a little bit. I see, to me, like, some people, they want to look perfect, right? Like, they want everything to look perfect. I like being a little fucked up. Right, I like you to look at, like, if you guys ever get really close to my face, you'll see scars all over my eyebrow line, and every one of those has a story. This one was from a knee, this one was from an elbow, this one was from an MMA fight, right? I like having my tooth chip. It has a story to it. I don't care if it looks different. It makes me who I am. My ear's a little messed up. I like having my cauliflower. That lets me know that, like, I put my work in, and I got something to show for. I got my badge of honor. Like, when I walk, like, if I walk somewhere, people see the ear. People know what cauliflower is now. Yeah. It's like an instant deterrent. Like, if I go out to a bar, there's a fly running around here, giving a swat at him. If I go out to a bar or something like that, people instantly see, oh, he's got a cauliflower ear. Now, some people don't like it because they think it looks gross or something. But to me, man, I love it. Like I said, I like having scars. I like having, like, damage. I like having things where, like, I've been through something. You know what I mean? It's not like this perfect, pristine, whatever. It's like, no, dude, this body's had some wear and tear on it. Like, I've been through some shit. I like it. And to me, those have stories. Like, when I see, like, someone like that, like a fighter, and I can look at their eyebrows and I go, oh, this guy's been through some stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, you're a battle-hardened veteran. Mm-hmm. And so I like it. So, I mean,
it's a badge of honor, man.
I mean, I might be a bit of a masochist in some ways,
but I like honor. I mean, I've got one ear. It's not terrible, but like, I don't give a shit. I was wearing, like, you can wear headgear too, but it's kind of annoying because you can get caught in different chokes. It's harder to pop. It's kind of bothersome.
Nobody likes headgears, man. Even in wrestling, we hated wearing this. We never wore them during practice. We put them on for our meets, and so we hated wearing them.
Don't show up your first day wearing headgear and, like, socks. And
stuff. Dude, because then the guys are gonna they're gonna ride you hard.
Just show up.
At that point, you're showing up as, like, the kid that goes to the football game in the big bubble. Like, he's just showing up there.
Somebody said that.
Yeah, I mean, man, like, it's a tough sport, and
it is.
You know what I think, though? I think a lot of times people get really, like, self-conscious about that stuff, and then they find out that people really don't care that much, right? Like, for instance, for me with my chip tooth, I used to be self-conscious about this thing, and then it was like I stopped caring. I was like, I'm gonna own it. Like, I'm gonna have this chip tooth.
You've had some good comments about
it. I love the comments. That's what I'm saying. Like, I own this stupid thing. I don't give a shit that my
There's that one. There's a really good one.
Oh, there's so many good ones. Like,
man.
his tongue looks like it's staring at me through a tiny window. That was a good one. Or it looks like he brushes his teeth with a bandsaw. Like, there's so many good ones.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
It's all right. Makes you Chewy.
It is. But I think, like, for someone, if you get cauliflower, you might be like, oh my god, I don't want to have cauliflower. It's gonna look so gross. Own it.
It's awesome.
Own it.
The bad thing about cauliflower is sometimes you can't wear certain headphones.
Yeah.
Or in your earphones.
Yeah, you can't.
So that's the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
Chewy. So we're gonna have another video or another podcast out on Thursday.
Yeah.
Some episodes or some videos that you've done, maybe some popular ones.
Yeah, and then I might do like some other stuff that we're just working on. So we got all kind of stuff. We're also, guys, we're working on getting some more guests on. And so I'll leave you guys out. Well, there's plenty of guys.
What's wrong with me?
Well, you're great, but you and I are going to interview some people. But we're going to be getting some different guests on just to have a different perspective on things. But I really enjoy, obviously enjoy you being here. So I had someone to talk to. So I'm not sitting here talking to a wall.
It's fun. Guys, so a couple things. We're now on iTunes. Make sure to subscribe. If you leave us, we need reviews help grow the podcast, helps get it out to more people. So that's where reviews come in. If you love the podcast, let us know that way. And then we are on Spotify as well. And then Chewy's going to have it up on his website.
Yeah.
It's fun, man.
And again, it's something new, guys. So if you guys want to continue to support it, you guys are already super supportive, so I appreciate you. And last question, because it's a quick one. Fakundu Martin says, what do you think about academies making you wear a gi, their specific gi, making it more expensive? I don't like it. I don't tell my students to do it, and that's all I'll say.
What he said. Boom. All right, guys. That's it. Thank you.
Finished.
We'll see you next time. Let's do, oh, sorry.